week 7 of a 7 week magical retirement that I madly took in the midst of a wild, chaotic home life and spiritual odyssey back in 1982. Uh, this is the sort of the landmark of the seventh head of the beast in uh, the poem Aha, the lion serpent. And there is next. This is the sort of the watch phrase of the seventh week. Next, still the ecstasy, prolong thy meditation steep and strong, slaying even God, should he distract thy attention from the chosen act. Yeah, so I've in my diary here, I've drawn a Solomonic modern version of a Solomonic triangle because part of my ceremonial things this week will be a more formal evocation of my spirit Orobos. If you're not sure what kind of shape I'm in when I'm doing all of this fasting and yoga and things like that, please refer back to the last 6 or 7 of these things here. So we're starting here on day 42. May 5th, 1982. 7 a.m. up, 203 pounds. I've lost some weight. Yoga, 7 cycles, pranayama for 14 minutes. Today I apply for work at William Harvey. It's a large medical device manufacturing. And although we don't find this out, but I get that job. And I'll find out about a week later. I get that job. And I remain gainfully employed then for the rest of my life. And if you've been following along, that's one of the objects of my operation, is to maintain the stability, that sort of stability for my wife or my family and the lodge, and for my own sanity. 10 a.m., repetition of Orobos charge, charge to the spirit Orobos. At noon, I did the Liber 5, Reguli sort of meditation that I did. 1 p.m., at 1 p.m., I'd been fasting 24 hours and continuing. At 6 p.m., I broke the fast at 30 hours with pineapple. Readings, I was reading The Temple of Solomon the King and The Sword of Song. May 6, 203 pounds. This is the 43rd day. 7:30 a.m. up, reading of chapter 7 of Liber 7, and Liber Ash, and Liber Het. Okay, these are kind of wild Class A documents that I was studying. Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Hexagram, and Liber 5L Reguli. Yoga, 7 cycles. Pranayama, 15 minutes. 6:30, return from 2-mile walk. Earlier at 2 p.m., I worked with my probationer. He needed to use some of my books, and we discussed the format of the probationer's exam and his magical record. May 7th, 44th day, 7:30 a.m., 202 pounds. Yeah. Yoga, 7 cycles. Pranayama, 10 minutes. 28 minutes in full lotus with a teacup of water on my head. No spill. Legs and feet turned gray, purple. For several minutes of pins and needles, as circulation comes back, if you are familiar with the pins and needles. Last night, okay, dream of water spirits, a beautiful indoor pool. I filled it with water myself. Beings look like adult children diving and swimming in a very ordered manner. 12:30 p.m. I was going through the translation of the Enochian call, looking for possible zealoter motto. I'm moving from neophyte to zealoter at my formal career there. Crowley's OSV, also Nufarusaji, used Enochian too, so I was toying with that idea. The opening lines of the first key, Ol Sanufa Rusaji, or Ol Son Vorji. True worshipper of the highest is Hoath Yada. Okay. True worshipper of the highest jumped out at me in English. The Golden Dawn had it spelled Hoath Yada. Instead of trying to show you this, okay, I had it played with the numeration. Hoath Yada came 438. The Equinox, or Crowley's Chinook material, had it spelled Hoathahe, and that's 449. And that looks so close to 444, which is sort of my pet number, that I couldn't resist knocking off the last E or the last H and using it as my motto when I reach, if and when I reach Zellator. I remembered that Bill Breeze sent me Crowley's handwritten Enochian calls, and so I copied them, and so I spelled it out like that to get a 418 for Hoathahe and a Yada for 26, and to give me my 444. I know that's not interesting to everybody, but it was how I came to my Zellator motto, Hoatha Yada, true worshipper of the highest. 7:30 p.m., scrying of the Tattva symbol for Earth. Lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. I opened the temple in 1 = 10. I recited the 5th Enochian call, which is the earth and earth of earth. Repetition of the invoking pentagram of earth with the names Adonai Haaretz and Exotecha from the Enochian tablet of earth, the king, and Uriel, sort of mixing my highs there. Yellow square with invoking pentagram of earth to enter, names repeated until a being looking like George Washington on Mount Rushmore appeared. I tested the being with the pentagram and names, which made his skin, if you could call it skin, swell like there was activity in his blood vessels. Circulation running very slowly. Given the slow movement, I sensed millions of years passing. Just for an experiment, I said, vitriol, and drew an invoking pentagram of earth. We both walked through the star into what I thought was to be an underground opening, but instead our faces were lit by a bright orange glow, like from a bonfire the size of the sun. Indeed, I could see the sun. It burned brightly in the center of the landscape, not the sky of the landscape, but the center of the landscape. The horizon itself looked as though it were trying to embrace it, something like that. I could almost see the landscape horizon on the other side of the sun. My guide said, and I'm not sure if he was speaking to me or to the sun, "We are all the light, but you are its source." Other beings stood or stooped around the landscape. Short, stocky little bears in overalls, I've got in quotes, with hammers and picks and shovels. I did not see them do any work. I did not even see them, and I really don't know what that word is. I did not even see them I don't know. But I sensed it was great labor going on, like when I watch bricklayers at work and thank my lucky stars that I don't have to do that for a living. Except for the sun, which was bright red-orange, everything else, including my guide and his robe, was brown, greenish brown. Note on my guide. When I first noticed his head, I could see his skin dying and being replaced by new skin. But instead of the dead skin flaking off, it went back into his body to eventually flow with the circulating liquid of his veins. This dead matter being fire, air, and water. I asked his name, and he says Bulloch, B-U-L-O-C-H. And I asked what I could take back with me to aid me in my great work. And in parentheses, achievement of 5 = 6. He gave me a hammer and said, "The hammer of the sun." That was his answer. And there's my little drawing, the hammer of the sun. And it had sort of a sharpened side to the hammer, sort of like a geologist's pick hammer. I thanked him, and he escorted me back to the star door. And then I played around with Bulloch there for a while. It came up to easily to 52, which is, among other things, is Bn, the sun, in the tetragrammaton of Earth, the Hey final. There I was playing with that. 11 p.m. Evocation of Ouroboros. Now, I had a friend who was a master Goetic magician. As a matter of fact, probably the greatest practicing Solomonic magician that I've ever encountered. He came over, and together we did an evocation of Ouroboros, which is the only time I've ever done it with anybody else. I was the receiver. Okay, I stood before a black mirror in a triangle, and he did all the work in the background, and I just could zone out. It was pretty cool. Full Goetic show with the operator and myself as receiver. Repetition of the charge of 32, which was day 32. Orabas said he was bottom in Midsummer Night's Dream. That's the kind of hot shit magician I am. World's greatest Solomonic magician, doing all this work to put me in the receptive mood after fasting all these days and all this yoga and going crazy. And the spirit says, hey, I was bottom in Midsummer Night's Dream. That's my profound message. I'm still thinking about that. And the spirit seemed touched by all of the pomp and circumstance of this formal evocation. So, seemed touched by all the pomp. Okay. May 8th, the 45th day, 8 a.m., up 201 pounds. Yoga, 7 cycles. Pranayama, 18 minutes. Later on that day, we did third degree, OTO, third degree initiations there at the house. May 9th, 46th day. 7 a.m., up, oh so tired, and 203 pounds. And Italian food, Mother's Day at Grandma's today. There is a lengthy fast in my future. Yoga, stiff, in parentheses, giving 3 third degrees kills a guy. Close parentheses. 7 cycles of yoga. Pranayama for only 5 minutes. Boy, am I in bad shape this morning. My head feels okay, but my back and legs, yuck. May 10th, 47th day. 7 a.m. up, 205 pounds. 2 days of gluttony. Fasting, 12 hours continuing. For no particular reason, I asked my brother to loan me his record of bagpipes. I find this strange craving for bagpipe music to have no parallel in mystical literature. But it's wonderful to do yoga to bagpipe music. I did 7 cycles. Had 2 realizations. One, that bagpipe music, reels and flings, are very beautiful repetitions. They're like mantras. 2, Metamorphoses. That's the name. This is the 49-day thing. I call it Metamorphosis. And the climax on the 50th day is Pentecost. And I am noting that the program of Metamorphosis follows the VIAO-V formula. Pranayama, 8 minutes. 7 p.m. fasting, 24 hours continuing. Have typed the probationer's exam all afternoon. I'm about 2/3 complete. Then I did my Liber 5 Vel Reguli. May 11th, 48th day, and I got a little drawing there of my incense burner. I'm not sure why. But you notice I've also got, it says 7 a.m., 201, fasting 36 hours and continuing. I've got Samek. Hey. Okay. Which happens to be 65. Okay. Got other things happening. I'm really in bad shape. Yoga, 7 cycles. I dropped the locust pose because I believe it's the cause of my recent back and leg pain. Pranayama, 13 minutes. Realization that the great work must always come first. As my 49 days draw to a close, my only thoughts and actions are dedicated to, and then there's, this is how I'm handling the word, where is it? He, she. Okay. Who awaits me like a bridegroom. May 12th. 49, 49th day. But I start with a retro of the day before. 6 hours of typing the probationer exam, 7 p.m., fasting 48 hours and continuing. 7:30, return from a 5-mile walk. Then exercise in the patio like the first days of Metamorphoses. 49th day, 7 a.m. up, 200 pounds. Fasting 60 hours and continuing. Yoga 7 cycles, pranayama 10 minutes. When thinking of my angel, HGA, without preconception, I called him her Sahe. Sahe. Samak He. 65. The next day's page just says, or the next page just said, 1 p.m., becoming cold, weak, and blind. And then a hadith. "11 a.m. Scry, Supreme Invoking Ritual of the Pentagram. Portal opening, first and second Enochian calls, EHNB, while giving the sign of the opening and closing of the veil. Black oval became soft cream, and as I fell through it, I found myself on the back of a very large swan. At first, we floated down a narrow but deep blue stream, winding. I began to give the portal signs and call EHNB. That's the first initial letters of Exharp, Hakama, Nanta, Batum, the archangels, if you will, of the elements, fire, water, or air, water, earth, fire. That's the order they come in. And so it's the initials of those archangels. So it'd be like the archangel of archangels. Okay. I began to give the portal signs and called EHNB. And the first and second Enochian call open is what gets EHNB's attention. When I realized that the signs I was giving were flying motions of the swan as we flew. Oh, to stay there. I kept making the signs and calling EHNB until I found myself in the presence of a beautiful humanoid with insect features. He stood on the 5th step between 2 pillars of gray. It wasn't a black and white pillars, or 2 pillars of gray. It was not an insect, but a humanoid with insect-like clothing, like an armor and helm. He was metallic, but I could not see what kind or even the color. It was reflective and radiant at the same time. I asked the nature of the spirit. So, tell me your nature. That's what I mean. And he said, quote, "Consider the egg," and pointed to an egg-sized black egg on his altar. I gazed into it and saw the limitless dimensions of space. My vision went into the egg until I became aware of flaws that appeared as galaxies and then stars. And then the Spirit said, elements, or matter elements, are flaws in the egg of Spirit. Yet Spirit sustains the flaws, which are the universe as you know it. Unquote. I asked how, using Spirit, I could control the elements. And he said, place a coil around the egg. And then in vision, I saw a snake in the egg. myself as the black egg, Kundalini, yoga, etc. Quote, as spirit is the reality of the universe, I extend to the atoms and beyond. A coil can be placed around the egg on all levels, unquote. This vision brought to an end by me thanking the spirit and returning by swan to the cream egg where I drew a banishing pentagrams of spirit. And finally, I'm wrapping it up with the last stanza from Aha. Last, all these things in one orb-powered time, the midnight blossom flowered, the oneness is. Yet even in this, O my son, thou shalt not do amiss, if thou restrain the expression. Shoot thy glance to rapture's darkling root, discarding name, form, sight, and stress. Even of this high consciousness, pierce to thy heart. I leave thee here. Thou art the master. I revere thy radiance that rolls afar, O brother of the silver star. And one little thing here. Now this is not quite over yet. Okay, remember I've been doing all of this things with this altar top, moving a bloodstone around that altar top day by day. And on that altar top is a chalice. And after my 49th day, I dropped that bloodstone into that chalice. And on the 50th day, I've got that chalice filled with wine. I mean, filled with wine. A mouton cadet. And the chalice also had a base that was big enough for me to put a consecrated host that I had formed into the shape of a pyramid, which I charged every day as part of my Liber 5 Vel Reguli ritual. Then I set up on the altar top, first of all, a large Enochian tablet of union. That's this bottom thing right here, okay? This thing. Now we're looking down at it. So this would, we're looking down. And there's 5 of them going along the side there. Then on top of that, I've got the Enochian tablet. Let's see what I got there. Then the rose cross, tabletop. And on top of that, I've got a miniature Enochian tablet of union. And now we're looking at it from the side. And above that is the chalice. And there's what I call the host my body there, and the chalice full of wine with that bloodstone that had taken that 49-day trip around the cross. May 13th. Now, real Pentecost that year was the 30th of May, so it wasn't quite the same, but I'm not a Christian. May 13th, Pentecost, supreme invocation, invoking ritual of the pentagram. Cup with the host my body at base, placed thus, and then that drawing. Small bloodstone, which made its 49-day journey, dropped 49 times into the cup. The cup rang, and then I put the mouton cadet in. Okay, I let it ring, ding, 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 49 times, and then stayed there, poured the wine in. Thou shalt drain out thy blood, the blood that is thy life, into the golden cup of her fornication. That's that line from Liber Het, and I've been doing those Liber Hets for 49 days too. Host my body burned utterly on the altar top in brass work upon a real gold coin. Okay, so that's why we see that. Okay. I'm not sure when I drank that. I don't see it. But I guarantee you I drank that wine. I drank it all. Host my body burned utterly on the open brass work upon real gold. I did the anthem from the Gnostic Mass. Prayer to the HGA for a miracle of Pentecost, financial stability, spiritual enlightenment, and full knowledge and conversation. Sign of Hurpark Krot. Thus, ending the life of PDA, that was my old neophyte motto, purity of aspiration, purité de l'aspiration. And the name therefore shall be no more. Signed H.I. That's Hoatha Yada. Okay, then for some reason I drew that goofy thing. And I recapped it. Let's see, 49 days. I fasted 15 of those days. And I lost a total of 13 pounds. Epilogue, which is the last entry of this whole book, because I turned the whole book over to Phyllis at the end of this. Epilogue, beloved superior, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. It was not my intention at the beginning of Metamorphosis to achieve the grade of Zealoter. I felt only that I had to shed old skin. The events and experiences of the past 49 days, especially those of April 4th, May 7th, 12th, and 13th, however, indicate to me the passage to 2 = 9. I will not presume to claim this grade until recognized as such by you. I now offer this record for your consideration. Hoatha Yada 444. Love is the law, love under will. And thank you very much for allowing me to relive that with you. I hope you can see all of the what works and what doesn't work, and where I'm deluded and where I'm not deluded, and how funky something like this really is, and for you to give yourself permission to go ahead and do shit like this and not be afraid of being funky, because 40 years later it just might look like it was pretty damn good. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.